It's all over.
What's up with it? What's happening? What's cracking? What's popping? This is All Over Radio. I am your boy, your host, Loud Mouth. Yes, indeed. Down south drafted, Cali crafted. And on the ones and twos right across from me, I got my man, West Laurel. Caution, 700 in the house.
What's the deal, everybody? What's the deal?
What's happening? What's happening? On the left side of me, I got B. Clark.
What's the deal? What's bracking?
And yes, indeed, we back at it again.
Oh my gosh, back at it again.
And we are located in D-Town, Texas, man. The Triple D, the city on the come up, broadcasting to you from that north side of that thing. AllOva Radio is a show created by Black Kings, for Black Kings and our lovely queens, and for anyone who rocks with Black culture and matters that concern Black people. We're going to chop it up about current events, important political matters, and things that are going on in the national Black community all over.
It's all over.
Now that you got the rundown, you know what the show is about. We're going to get right into this thing on a little segment we like to call Socially Influenced.
Yeah, get into it.
Yes. Let's get into it one more time. That one's on me, fellas. That one's on me. But first topic I got today for you guys is called colorism. You guys, are you familiar with that?
Colorism.
Colorism?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
First of all, the colorism describes colorism or shadism as a form of prejudice or discrimination in which people who are usually members of the same race are treated differently based on their social implications, which come with cultural meanings which are attached to their skin color, meaning light skin, dark skin, that type of thing. So first and foremost, I got a couple questions I want to throw at you, brother. So, it's always got one topic where I got a list of questions for you guys.
I'm sorry, this is so random, but I'm sitting here and looking at things that say colorism online, and the first thing say if you is white, you's all right.
Wow.
I'm so sorry, I couldn't know what that is. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Wow. First and foremost, how important is colorism to you?
Amongst Black people in general?
Yeah.
It's something it's a real thing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
For me in general, it's not something that I don't see it. I don't believe in having a smaller form of prejudice or racism against my people within our own community. You know what I mean? So I just, there's jokes about it. That's some light skin, some light skin shit, or y'all dark skin. You know what I'm saying? I've heard it all. Yeah. I participate in it, but I think on a larger scale, with society and pop culture and, the way that, our images are presented to us and even with our children. Like, my youngest daughter, she'll see somebody that's more fair skinned and be like, oh, mommy, she's so pretty. Yeah. But, she'll see somebody that's dark and may not have that same sentiment. So it's just kind of strange sometimes to see those things happen in the way that they present the images to us and our children. But, for me personally, I don't have any investment in it. Yeah.
It's real, though. I think it's 100% real.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I've, experienced things just being a lighter skinned, African American that my darker skinned brothers and sisters don't have the same experience. And I also notice a definite difference in the way that we're treated, for sure. I also see a difference in the way we identify ourselves. For example, when you're young, especially for me, growing up in the burbs around a lot of white people, okay, I noticed that a lot of Black kids, when they are trying to describe or identify themselves, they always tend to identify the other aspect of their makeup, right? It's like a badge of honor to be something other than Black. It's like, oh yeah, I got a little Indian in me. Oh yeah, I got a little white in me. Or you see what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I got these green eyes. Like, it's almost bad to be Black among Black people, and that is a conditioned thing that comes with years of programming, unfortunately, with that goes back to slavery, as we know.
Yeah, to me, I understand it's real. It's some people take it a whole different way. I've been looked at differently because I'm light skinned, and people get it confused sometimes that the perception of me is either soft or I'm not masculine or I'm a different type of person. Like, no, like, it's just a skin color. So yeah, I see it all the time, even from my own brothers and sisters.
Absolutely,
Sometimes like
yeah.
they look at me different from being skin tone, but sometimes you get more praise. You look at you, ooh, he's light skinned, or you know what I'm saying, get better praise from the girls and stuff like that. So, but I don't know. I do recognize it and I do see it, but I like me and my brother right here. We play on it all the time. So I may hit him with a dark skin joke, and he gonna hit me with a light skin joke. So it's always something. But next question I got for you guys: what are some of the stereotypes that come with your skin tone? You find that you find funny. Give me one that you find funny, one that you find insulting, and one that you find what's a good one? Just out of the blue, left field.
Well, first of all, when I think about that, what was that movie? Remember, it was a Boomerang. I'm dating myself now. When he was like, light skinned brothers back in style.
Oh yeah.
I was like, listen, light skinned brothers always been in style.
Always.
Okay, always been in style. It's just dark skinned niggas that be hating.
Yeah,
okay, that's
always.
what that is. Yeah.
I ain't never
you see
fell
what I'm saying? You just mad because we pull the chocolates, and we pull the white girls, and we pull the Hispanics, and we pull the
as a proud representative of the dark skin
community,
dark skin nation.
Let me tell you first and foremost, it is none of those things. Trust me.
Yeah.
Like I can vouch for at least myself on that front. I just think sometimes you get that that Willie Lynch syndrome when it comes to our skin tones and how we feel, because it gets real nasty in certain conversations if you look deeply enough. Some of the stuff I see on social media, the stuff people talk about, depending on who it is that they're talking about, how they speak about certain people in comparison to others, maybe how they talk about Alicia Keys as opposed to how Fantasia is perceived. You see what I'm saying? One sings better than the other, but because one doesn't look the stereotypical way, she doesn't necessarily get as much, so it's those kind of things I always notice. But man, for me as a dark skinned guy, I think the one thing, I don't know, as being dark skinned, I think the main thing that people always think is like, I'm gonna come off a certain way when they talk to me. I don't know what that is. And so when like I actually get to talking to people, it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that from you, and I'm just like, well, damn, like what were you expecting? You know what I'm saying?
Does it feel weird? Do you get approached like you're gonna come off threatening? Like, is it that type of vibe? Like you're gonna
most
attack,
people are
or
like apprehensive, like before I actually talk to them. So it's like if it's casual conversation, or maybe I'm trying to get past you in the grocery store, or you know what I'm saying, something like that. Usually once I start talking to people, it's like, oh, okay, we're good. You know what I'm saying? But most of the time I may be out with a do-rag on and a raggedy tee, and I may look a certain way. So I don't know how people feel about me. I don't necessarily. I'm oblivious to it most of the time, but I don't know. That shit crazy though.
How do people come off with you? Is it a more of a? Do you think they approach you like you're gonna be aggressive because you're black, or he's alright because he's light skinned?
Sometimes, but
he's the light skinned black.
Yes, I guess for me, I've had the advantage. I guess the vast.
Do you get that? He's the light skinned black, not the dark skinned
brother from the Bay.
That's what I'm saying. Like the light skinned brother.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, I definitely see it amongst our own people in the way that we get, especially among men. Like a lot of cats try to test. I feel like, and Clark, you probably can resonate with this too. Like, what I'm saying, like a lot of cats try to test. I'm not the one. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to like up it. You know what I'm saying? Extra because Cass was always trying to play me. You know what I'm saying? So like I got it from that side. But because of the fact that I grew up in an affluent environment, I was always around white people. So like I kind of learned how to navigate those spaces, and you encounter so many different kinds of white people that have different responses. So yeah, absolutely, I get the funny looks or sometimes the response. But then again, especially like in high school, when you had like females, they may be more inclined to holler at me as opposed to my dark skinned counterpart. You know what I'm saying?
We had to work harder. I don't know what y'all up here talking about. All this, they treat me differently. No, y'all took 80% of the population in high school and left us with the scraps. And so we left there to fight with each other over that. No, that's not how it was.
Get it how you live, kinfolk. Get it how you live.
It's cool. You know what I'm saying? What's the saying? Darker the berry, we good.
Darker the berry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can definitely see it because, wifey is chocolate skin. You know what I'm saying? So like I can see it in how she's treated for real.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so it's very interesting. Even when like we're together, how we get other females may look or respond. It's very interesting to see and kind of how that affects her self-image,
Right.
and self-worth, and what she thinks about herself in relation to other women. There is, I see from darker skinned women, they feel a bit maybe threatened because of what society is putting on them. What's great is this whole melanin movement to where black women are feeling more comfortable in their skin, as they should, because dark skinned women are beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know where this idea came from that they're not attractive. That's asinine to me.
That's crazy.
I don't know who made that up.
Exactly. Like, it was
Let me tell
tripping.
you something. I got one of my own, and whenever we out and about, she's proud of it, full blown. I don't care what it
she
is,
should be.
to the fullest extent. But like I said, that's a societal thing where what's presented to us is what's made to be more appealing, just because of maybe a brighter tone or silkier hair. You know how they do, man. They'll make up, drum up anything for us. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap that up real quick for you, brothers. Next subject I got on the docket is Ben Shapiro.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys are hip to him lately, but as of late, let me get back to my notes real quick. As of late, he was reading WAP by Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. If you guys aren't familiar with that, I don't know where the hell you've been.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, he goes in front of, if I'm not mistaken.
He was
on the show.
He was on his show.
I apologize. Yeah, he was on this show, and he showed his disgust by it and reading it pretty much the lyrics word for word in the best fucking way he could, which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's really funny. If y'all have not heard it, first of all, if you have, join the conversation. Let us know your thoughts about it. Everyone's talking about it.
Can I play some of it?
Yeah,
Is that what y'all want to hear a little bit of?
Yeah, I believe I sent it to you. Didn't I?
Let me see. Wait, I don't want to make no promises I can't keep, but let's see.
If you got it, then.
There's some whores in this house. There's some whores. I said certified freestyles.
Hey.
7 days a week.
It's all
Wet
over.
ass P word.
Hey.
Pull out game week. Yeah.
This is hilarious.
Wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and
Wet
a
ass
bucket
P word.
for this wet ass
Hey.
P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N-word. Catch your charge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. I'm
Okay.
done with you now, my boy.
First and foremost, the internet is
Shout out to him for going through that, though.
Shout out to the person who did the remix with his voice. Like, the internet wins again.
The internet is undefeated with that type
man.
of business. So they took that was basically him just reading it with no beat on his own show.
Right.
They took it, flipped it, put a beat to it, remixed
was
it, sped it
amazing.
up.
Put
So
that beat on there.
I don't know how you guys feel about that. I would definitely love to hear you guys conversate your 2 cents in the comments. So please jump in the conversations. Let us know how you feel about that, and tell us how you feel about your boy Ben Shapiro and his remix.
How y'all feel about the song in general?
All right. So,
Come on.
yeah, man. Listen. All right. The problem that I have is there's a few conversations happening at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
First of all, Ben Shapiro is not qualified to comment on hip hop. So
Right.
Not at all.
he messed himself up with that. That's why he's looking stupid. Okay, reading the lyrics like that, like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you're tripping. Now, there is some validity though, man. In it's not just Ben Shapiro, man. You talked about Larry Johnson. You talked about others. CeeLo got into it. Obviously in Hot Water.
We talked about that.
The reason why people are responding in such a way is because, bro, like, let's be honest, man, that video and that song is out there. It's extra. And it's not to like make this justification of, men who make songs that are similar, right? Like, I'm not justifying any of it, right? But where do we get to a point to where, like, too much is too much? And I think that's my point with it, is that, like, when I look at it, music to me is more than just something that you put out and you entertain yourself with. I think that there are messages and themes and concepts that we're putting. I know that, there are those that would say, well, it's adult content. I would agree with that. However, what I do know about the music industry is that they're marketing to 12 to 24-year audience. So parents are not going to be able to monitor their kids' content consumption on a regular basis. And if that video comes on, all right, you're not going to be able to stop your kid from seeing it. If it plays on the radio, iHeart, Clear Channel, Radio 1, all these stations, they're urban stations, market to 12 to 24. Think about that, y'all. 12 to 24. Okay, so yeah, for an adult, whatever. You want to jam that, that's your business. So that's one problem that I have with it.
They got the censored version, Wet and Gushy. So it's not the.
It's still.
Yeah, it's still a bit much.
Here's the thing, yeah.
It's still a bit much. I mean, am I mad at it? I mean, does it belong on BET Uncut, showing my age right there? Yeah. Or Late at Night? Yeah. I mean, but I don't.
It's just hard for me to see what the I get it. The video, I get it.
Is it because of the video? Does the video put the icing on the cake?
How I watch so much, and maybe because I see so much on a daily basis. I see so much shit on a day-to-day basis that I kind of just brush it under the rug.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't expect anything less from them too. Like when I saw the cover art with them, I was like, they just finna compete to see who can be nastier on the song. Like in my mind, I knew that was coming. So like I just skipped straight to the video. I didn't care about the song. I'm like, what is the video about? Since that's what this whole motion is. Yeah. And then when I saw the video, I was like, oh, okay, well this is kind of exactly what we were aiming for. But I think it's definitely considering what their audience is, and I think that's a lot of people's issue too, is because if you think about Cardi's first album and her first record that went big, people was fine with their kids singing the lyrics and dancing along to it. Meg, when she first came out, people was fine with the whole concept of her talking what she was talking about. But it was like they combined forces and turned into Decepticon or something. And now everybody's like, whoa, hold on now. You know what I'm saying? So I think what they did was they pushed, their own niche or their own lane to the extreme there, and it was just like, okay, this is what the limitations are. We'll push it right to that limitation, and we know people gonna gobble it up because of who we are. But I don't know, man. I don't want my kids listening to it. Definitely.
Well, obviously not. It's not appropriate for any child. Now, this is my problem, right? Like, there's a couple. The other part of this, right, is the conversation of slut shaming. Okay, and to me, I think that that's illegitimate. And this is the reason why, because, like Larry John said, I know he got, he didn't care what anybody thought about it. He's radical in some things he believes, but what he did say is that we're teaching our daughters to be whores. And I think that he's right, man. Like, it's one thing, to talk about you a freak, right? Like, you can be a freak, and that's not the same as being a whore. It's not, so what are we losing the definition of terms? A whore, the definition of a whore is somebody who makes herself available as a freak to almost any suitor that's available.
But I think that was just his terminology, though. I think he was misplacing his wording there.
No, that's what the song says, though, my brother. Like the whole point of the song is there's some whores in this house.
They're not saying whores. You know what song that is. They're saying it's some hoes in this house, and it's men saying it. So it's not like it's women. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same. It's taken in context. You have to take it in context.
Hold on. Okay, but hoe is just short for whore.
Nah, it's not, bro. You sound like the suburbs now. A hoe, and this is me going back to my days. This is not me now. But if I hit the homie up on a weekend and we chilling, like, bro, where the hoes at? I'm not looking for nobody to sell me nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find where the hoes at or where the bitches at. That's how we used to talk as kids.
Okay.
So that's where I don't hear whores.
Okay,
There's some whores in this house.
Okay, hold on.
I don't hear the same thing.
Okay. Let's look at what the words mean, though. So, like, yes, culturally, I agree with you. We say where the hoes at, like that was conversation. But when you listen to the song in itself, that don't sound like, we going to kick it with some homies. That's not what that is.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the context in which it's some hoe. We know where it's a sample from a song.
Yes, of course.
It's some hoes in this house. Like it's a party. It's some hoes in this house.
Right.
I think the problem with slut shaming is if a woman chooses that path for herself, that is that woman's choice.
Yeah.
I don't care what that, and that's my thing with it. So I can't shame you for that because there's a glorification on the male side that says this is cool. Yeah. You can be a player. You can be a pimp.
Absolutely, I agree 100%.
This is the same conversation they had about Madonna when she came out. The same conversation they had about Lil' Kim when she came out. Because remember Kim came out?
Lil' Kim was talking. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, where is it?
Lil' Kim, do you remember her lyrics?
Scared of the... Now I rap lips on this. That was her song. Like,
exactly.
Raw.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we have to. My thing is, if as adults, as adult women, I don't agree with calling yourself a hoe. I don't agree with
the whole Amber Rose thing.
I don't agree with them going to that extent. But I think the point of that is, if a woman chooses to be that, then that's her natural choice.
I agree. That's her free will to do what she wants with her life. Now, my problem is this: is that we've normalized hoish behavior as if that's just like, oh, okay, yeah, there's no different than the businesswoman and the hoe. Like, so all of us who have daughters, none of us in here are gonna say we want our daughters to admire Meg Thee Stallion or Cardi B. None of us, right? So now we as men, let's be truthful, we are hypocrites, okay? Because we love hoes, and I'm talking about hoes that are loose with it, okay? Let's be honest, right? Like, and that's where women get upset at us, right? Because we want to marry a more conservative woman who is a freak in the sheets.
Right.
Okay, right?
Nasty.
But we want to go play with hoes and discard of them. So women are like, wait a minute, you're being a hypocrite. And they're right about that.
Right.
Now, so I believe in accountability on both sides.
Oh, definitely.
You see what I'm saying? Like, we can't advocate, you know what I'm saying, and say we love hoes, we want to mess with these hoes on the side and you know, be one and done with it, right? And be playing games, and at the same time say, oh, we don't want you to show your wholeness. Like, so I'm saying everybody needs to check themselves and like, what are we consuming from a content standpoint, and what are our values?
I got nothing from the song nor video. I'm just, you know, just as an advocate for music, somebody that just wanted to see something creative. I got nothing from it. I think it's one of Cardi's worst songs as far as
pure entertainment
the way
to
she.
me,
And I'm not a big Cardi B fan. I'm not saying she can rap, but that was like one of the worst songs I've ever heard her on. And I don't listen to Meg Thee Stallion because she sounds like every rapper from Houston, just a female version. So I can't. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I get nothing from her on nothing. Like if I'm watching her video, it's just literally to see Meg Thee Stallion. I'm not watching her for the music. So I just think, you know, they don't have a lot to like, you know, they don't make a lot of music that grasp onto. So most of the time, unless Cardi is doing something with Bruno Mars, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, them other songs I can't get with. Like it's not for me. I don't like music that glorifies, you know. As soon as I hear a woman talk about her pussy on the song, I turn it off. And I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm the same with a man. If you mention your private area for me on the song, I'm not even going to use the word. I'm turning it off. It's just pointless sometimes. So, but I get it. They want to be them. And I just
do what you do.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? But my thing is, don't expect everybody to be cool with it.
Exactly. They knew what they were doing. They knew the backlash they was going to get from it.
Absolutely. And we're helping them generate
This is what
checks.
they wanted. This is what they wanted.
But anyway, that's socially influenced for you guys. Please jump in the conversation.
Yes.
Tell us how you feel. Give us your 2 cents about every topic that we discussed today. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it out to my boy Loudmouth for politics as usual.
Politics as usual.
Yes, indeed. Today in American politics, we're going to discuss the controversy around Kamala Harris and what does it actually mean to be black? Why is there such disagreement among black people on Kamala Harris in the first place? Who do we define as a representative of black people? What does that even mean to represent us as a people? So let's talk about this, gentlemen, because this is obviously all over the internet. If you've been in any of your news feeds, you will see black people going to war with one another over Kamala Harris, which I don't believe that she's worthy of us going to war over. But why do you believe that black people are so divided over Miss Harris? What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Stop getting upset about these white folks' government, but y'all go ahead. I'm not finna play with this. Like, y'all really upset about this? Like, what do you think is gonna happen here? Like,
exactly. I mean, they're once you dig into her facts, you see about her background and how she at one point in time was locking up nothing but us brothers.
She was doing her job.
Yeah, I mean,
well, that's what the proponents would say. She was you know, the prosecutor.
I mean, technically, I mean, you do the crime, no matter what skin color you are, go to jail. I understand that, but they making it seem like she focused mainly on us brothers.
Yeah, and so the things that people point to, you know, so listen, to be fair and balanced, I've got some negatives and some positives that people on both sides will say about Miss Kamala Harris. Now, from my perspective, you know, these are interesting, right? One of the things, you know, those from Cali will definitely be familiar with her because that's where she is from in terms of where she has served in office. And one of the most notorious things is the California Proposition 21. Okay, any of the Lokes and Damus that are active will know about this because this is the gang-related gang injunction and all of the things that are surrounding gang activity that get young black males locked up. And again, it's not to excuse violence in any way, but there is something to be said about how you handle individuals based off of their age and their environment. And the reason why she has gotten so much scrutiny and backlash is because she was locking up juveniles, 14-year-olds, and trying them as adults. Okay, come on, man. A 14-year-old is not an adult.
Not at
Period.
all. Not at all. Not even close.
We know this from cognitive development that a 14-year-old is not an adult. So yes, I understand that, you know what I'm saying, if a Damu or Loke, young gangbanger, you know what I'm saying, kills somebody, commits robbery or something of that nature, most likely they're learning that from older individuals. Okay, it's not like they woke up one day and said, "Yeah, I want to gangbang." Most, in Compton, I want to hear. I mean, Caution, I want to hear your thoughts about this from growing up in Compton, because you can speak to this. But Prop 21 is one of those areas where she gets a lot of criticism because she was trying 14-year-olds, juveniles as adults and putting them in adult jails, which only helps to perpetuate the cycle. It's not restorative. It's not rehabilitation. Okay.
Yeah, and I got people that got locked up probably like 2002, 2003, maybe for I wouldn't necessarily say murder, but for crimes, felonious crimes that would fall into the category of a lot of these, especially considering a gang affiliation. And a lot of them dudes just got out of prison like not too long ago. You see what I'm saying? Man. And maybe they got out before and recently got back into something. But what set the standard was that, like you talking about in 2000, those were the years, those are my high school years. You know what I'm saying? So everything that we was getting into, it just kind of makes you think about like everybody that was truly affected by it, and are people really paying attention to why it was and how it was a continuation from the three strikes law, and how they were just kind of pushing that to, okay, we have those that are of adult age, but now we have these 14 to 18s that are out here still committing the same kind of crimes. How do we persecute and how do we try them? Well, let's try them as adults to see if it drops the numbers. And of course it doesn't. It didn't work. No, because like you said, the influence isn't coming from them. When I was 14, I didn't know where to get a gun until somebody showed me where to get a gun. You see what I'm saying? Or if you needed something, you go get it from somebody, or the channels open up after a certain age. So especially at that time, man, this was pretty significant for us. I know specifically, I can name a couple of people right now offhand that probably is still incarcerated or of some form right now due to this. So
absolutely, that's one of the critiques that black people have for Miss Kamala Harris. The other one is that convictions of drug dealers and drug related sales increased while she was active in her role, from 56% to 74% increase in convictions. Okay, and now in a state where marijuana is legal and white people are cleaning up. Making millions and billions of dollars off the same product that a lot of black people are selling. And my problem with this is that cocaine is not coming from Compton in South Central LA.
And they know that.
Cocaine is coming from other countries. Okay? As a country, what are you doing to punish those that are actually bringing the product into these neighborhoods? Okay, the 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, or even 21-year-old who's selling some rocks that's getting, on the corner that's making a few dollars, he is not the one that is the main problem. Now, does he need to be held accountable for breaking the law of the land? Of course, but to what extent is the question. How do we pump funds into impoverished environments to allow opportunity to give black men choices so they don't feel as if they have to gangbang, sell dope, or shoot hoops or throw footballs down a football field?
You don't, because you have that small percentage of those that make it. But if I get everybody off the streets and give them positive things to do, then who fills up our prisons? Who keeps that system going? Somebody got to fill them motherfuckers for us to make money, for us to continue to build them at the rate that we build them. So I think there'll always be organizations that help, but it goes back to, especially in LA, with Free Ray, Ricky Ross, and they know exactly where it's coming from. So instead of stopping it, why not just regulate it in a way where we can profit off of it and make them sell it for us and do all the work, and we take the profit and keep them out there to take the blame when they get caught? It's the same system over and over again. It just changes, like they said. So I don't know. This lady she rubbed me the wrong way when I saw her on the Breakfast Club talking about how she used to smoke weed and listen to Snoop Dogg in college. Like, she not like super old. Like, Snoop wasn't on when you were in college. Like, stop trying to be cool for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, cut that out.
I get tired. We're gonna talk about that in a second too. But
I got a question real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how do you feel about people that have been locked up for marijuana charges now that it's legal in certain states? Do you think they should be reduced?
Of course.
Their fees should be reduced.
What are they doing in jail still?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any logical sense. Anybody with a rational thinking mind.
Reduced or set free? Like, totally set free?
Well, okay, I guess it depends upon, how they're behaving while they're incarcerated.
And
Okay,
too.
well,
the
yeah,
magnitude,
yeah.
of
And
the
the magnitude of the offense. I don't think there's one blanket way to cover it. You know what I'm saying?
So from selling nicks or selling pounds, like I mean,
yeah, I mean, if
either
you're
or?
running some sort of organization and with that came other violent crimes, then you have to handle that person a little bit differently than the person who's
Just
on the
selling a
corner
couple
selling
nickel
some
sacks,
dime
yeah.
bags.
Word.
You know what I'm saying?
Now,
So
if that person that was on the corner selling dime bags is on his second strike in California,
Right.
and you got caught with some shit, then it's a different scenario as well. So
Exactly.
like you said, it's a matter of where you are, what you're doing, and who you are a lot of times. But hell yeah, they need to reduce some of them sentences or let some people go that's
Right.
been in there forever, especially in New York. Like they hold people at Rikers for way too long, for way too
Way
minimum.
too long.
So that's
Yeah.
one of them things where they really need to look into it. But
it just makes no sense.
Right.
And one of the other critiques is her record on sentencing and prison inmate retention. So she has been accused of cruel and unusual punishment for not allowing those who have been wrongly accused to get new trials.
Man.
Okay, so this is not right, man. After the 2011 United States Supreme Court in Brown versus Plata declared California's prisons so overcrowded that they inflicted cruel and unusual punishment, Harris fought federal court supervision, explaining, "I have a client and I don't get to choose my client." She's like nonchalant, like dismissive about the fact Harris's record on wrongful conviction cases as Attorney General has engendered some criticism from academics and activists. Law professor Laura Baselin contends Harris weaponized technicalities to keep wrongfully convicted people behind bars rather than allow them new trials. Wow. Okay, so for me, what is the motivation for this?
Yeah.
So when you're championing, yes, I'm for my people, in what way? Your record doesn't really show that, other than you snapping your head and talking black, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now the positives. You want to hear the positives that people praise her for?
definitely,
Okay.
please.
All right. So some of the things that she's done with law enforcement, all right, is put together a essentially 90-day review for implicit bias and the lethal use of force, okay? And she introduced this in 2015, the first of its kind, principal policing, procedural justice, and implicit bias training, designed in conjunction with the Stanford University psychologist and professor Jennifer Eberhardt, okay? And so what they did was, hold law enforcement accountable and try to give them training on bias, okay? So that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that they say that she's done well, in 2011, she has done a lot for mortgage fraud and those that are having environmental, malpractice, essentially. And so she was able to prosecute Quest Diagnostics and others. That doesn't really have anything to do with black people,
No,
right? Like,
not at all.
that's a cool thing to do, okay? Okay, all right. So there's some positives there that she has, right? And
Do her positive outweigh her cons, though? I mean, her pros.
I don't know enough about it.
To you,
yeah, I mean, for black people, that's the reason why I think you see such a vitriolic response on social media, is that we're not talking about Trump supporters, man. We're talking about black people, women, men, young, old, that are like, we don't want anything to do with Kamala Harris because of her record within the black community is not indicative of somebody who represents our people. She may be a very good politician, and what it looks like to me is that's what she is, based off of where she is position wise, okay, and what that means for her and who she's working around. She will make decisions for her political benefit, like most politicians
I was
do.
about to say that's the same. Like, who are we gonna get in there that's not gonna move at that same rate, though? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, are we really waiting for somebody to go and be behind Joe Biden that's for us?
Yeah.
That goes back to what we said about us needing our own party, because we ain't
Right.
never gonna have somebody in there that's completely for us. Like, I don't. That's kind of like blind hope there. I when I see it, I'm just like, well, damn, if she's in there and he chose her, let's see what she can do. Like, I don't think everybody should always be judged on the things that they've done in the past. Maybe she has a plan. So if I'd rather hear it out than to knock her. But I don't. Y'all know how I feel about the government and politics. So we'll move on to the.
Okay. So I have a question. Okay, so one of the arguments that you hear, one of the other things that black people are fighting about, is how do we define who is black?
Oh my God.
Okay, and what does it mean to be black?
What your mom and your daddy look like?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that's the question? Is it just DNA that defines blackness?
Has to be.
Okay. So then, who then determines who is an advocate and a representative of our people? Is it just anyone that's black, or are there certain things, traits, character traits that make up a true representative of our people?
No, because you can't do that and be a white person. So if I wanted to have the characteristics and traits of a white person, I could do that all day.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna be black. I don't think we have that leisure. That's a privilege we don't have. So unless you're like a very, very, very light skinned person that can pull it off, other than that, I feel like it's in your DNA. Like, are your parents? Do you have African American ancestry there? Is there anything behind it like that?
True.
I don't think you can pretend to be black, or I don't think you can learn to be black. It's something.
What about White Mike from the hood though? Nah, but I mean, would you
because
come
if he
encounter
says-
with a couple? I know that's
You know
they'll
it.
kill him though.
You know
that's
it.
the only thing. But I mean, we've all had that one
listen
white
to this,
homeboy
though.
in the hood.
That's like the young man, and I'm not gonna say his name, but the young man that got caught up with the Crips in L.A. Right?
Absolutely, the
rich
schoolyard
young white
Crips,
man,
right? Yeah.
Gang banging real tough.
Yeah,
he
out
out
there.
putting in work with him. So one day, him and his homeboys, they commit a murder, and they run and hop in his little Mercedes, and they drive off. Somebody spots the Mercedes.
Right.
Everybody's on trial.
Yeah.
Guess what my young Caucasian brother does? He flips the script. Now it's not the same no more. I'm not on the same page as y'all now. I'm distancing myself, and he gets off for it.
Yeah.
So we don't get that same. Like, he could have, he was black as you can be
Black
as a
as you
white
can be,
guy
right,
for as
yeah.
long as he was.
Yeah,
he out
he had
there
music
he
videos.
dating our women.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
dressing like us. He's
Yeah.
singing the music. He's putting in work. But then the second that the trouble happens,
He
oh
out
no,
of
I'm
that.
not with him. So that's what I mean by that. If it's not in your DNA, then
Right.
I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Like,
Okay, all right. So then let me ask you this then. When you see black people talk about supporting black people, should we just blanket support because they're black?
no, I'm not an advocate for that.
Okay, so
No.
the criticism that I see, and I'm even getting it online, is that when I was talking about Kamala Harris, black women are talking about, well, how come you don't support us? You know, what is this about? You know, you don't like any black women. I was like, what are you talking about? So am I supposed to just blanket support every black woman because she's a black
No.
woman? Is that what this is about?
No, I hate that rhetoric.
Exactly. Because for me, what does that mean? That means that I should support Candace Owens too as well, right?
Right.
Is that what that means? Because she's a
Right.
black woman. So should I ride for her too?
Exactly.
Oh. See, and they don't want to hear that. You see, when you bring up people like that, then it's like, well, that's not the same. Well, when I look at Kamala Harris, tell me where I see a black advocate.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked, how do we define what it means to be black and who represents us? And so I'm going to read a couple quotes from Marcus Garvey. All right?
Marcus Garvey.
I'm going to bring it back. Yeah, obviously Marcus Garvey, you know, he was around in the 1800s to 1940s.
Word.
Okay, but he was a Pan-Africanist, black nationalist, if you will.
Right.
All right. So this may make some folks mad that I'm bringing up Marcus Garvey, but I feel like we forget the fact that these were people that we looked at too as thought leaders at one point in time. All right. So let's remember that, people.
Yeah.
But he said, if we as a people realize that the greatness from which we came, we would be less likely to disrespect ourselves. Okay, and this last one he said was the black skin is not a badge of shame, but rather a glorious symbol of national greatness. Okay,
I like that one too.
I do. And so, you know, for me, it's how do we define blackness, right? And what does it mean to be black? It's really important for us to ask this question because I think that we have individuals that will want us to support anyone in any position just because they are black, and I don't think that that's right. We should have the ability to call somebody on their mess and when they're not doing right for us as a people. But because we have such a lack of representation, I almost feel like people are just so gung-ho to jump behind any Negro, okay,
Anybody of
that
color.
is in the national media.
Yeah.
Okay, and as long as they don't represent, you know, Trumpian philosophies, if you will, because they don't have that same love. Black women don't have that same love for Candace Owens, and I don't think they should. You know what I'm saying? But if I criticize Kamala Harris, you can't tell me why I should advocate for her, other than the fact that she's a black woman, and that's not a good enough reason.
So in this situation, if you're a voting person, right, and you know that you're one of those people that really, really believe that I have to vote to make a difference, and the only candidates are the ones that we have, do you necessarily? I mean, you can't vote for Trump and Pence. Like, we've seen that. So do you just find another candidate, or do you just say, hey, I'm not gonna vote at all? Like, what's the better? And this is not me speaking. This is me speaking from somebody who just got on the side of voting. So don't let me sway the conversation.
Yeah.
But like, what would be the option? Like, okay, I may not know much about her, but I definitely can't go with those other two guys. Like, so what do you do in those instances? Like, do you just kind of go with?
That's also a debate that I see black people disrespecting each other. I am so fed up with black people disrespecting each other because they disagree.
Right.
Okay? If a black man says he does not want to vote, he does not deserve to be lambasted and ridiculed because you think that he should. Okay?
But don't use the saying that our ancestors died for us to vote. No, they died for us to have
the right to vote. Thank you.
Like I get it. I get the right to do or not to. Like you can't tell me that. But that's another conversation. Like you said.
But this is the conversation. I think because I'm tired of it, man. Like, and my perspective is this: it really is based off of what you believe your place in the nation is. There are black people who love America, who love America. They are American to the core, and they are black. They are black nationalistic individuals who want the best for America. If that's not your worldview, then voting becomes a different type of experience. For me personally, I don't have an allegiance and loyalty to America. I have allegiance to God and to my family, period. I don't owe America anything but to pay my tithe or pay my taxes and obey the law of the land. Everything outside of that is within my free will to do because I want to do it, not because I owe America anything. Okay, so if I don't want to vote, that's my business.
That's my choice.
And for me, to be quite honest, if you're gonna vote, like we talked about in I think like episode 2, is local elections is really where it's about. This national pomp and foolishness is just a charade.
Right, they know who they're going to select. The electoral process is there for a reason. You can win the majority vote and the popular vote, like they did the last election, where Donald Trump loses by 2-3 million votes and still becomes the president because of the way this is all set up.
Electoral college again,
man. Yeah, it's all the system that they have that way. But
okay, a last question before we transition. Okay,
first of all, we want y'all to join the conversation.
Yes,
please jump in the comments.
Don't just listen. Like, tell us what you think.
We forgot about y'all.
Want your opinion? Yeah, it got really heated. So
if
you feel a certain way, jump in. We'll talk about it
feel
too.
that in your soul.
Listen,
let it resonate.
we want to have dialogue and conversation, right? Because this is important, but it's civil and respectful. We can disagree, but be respectful to one another. I think that's the main thing. But join the conversation, follow along with us as we talk about these topics. Okay, so the last question I have is a rather controversial one, right? And it's about Kamala Harris and interracial relationships, because that's the last critique that a lot of black people have, okay? And this is a great divide. So the question I have is, does having a white spouse weaken your credibility to champion black and Afrocentric causes?
How deep are you into it, though? That's the thing. That's the question I would ask, because a lot of people champion, like you said, the black Afrocentric causes, but they're kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You see what I'm saying? So how deep into it are you? Because if you're into it deep enough, then you know that there's a certain loyalty to your own that is to be professed, to manifest a certain kind of people. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know if it weakens your credibility, but I would be probably less likely to believe some of the things you say if you champion this all and you show up and your wife is white.
Well, then it does weaken your credibility.
You know what I'm saying?
I think so. It throws a swerve into it.
Right.
Especially if you don't address it off top.
Right.
Like if you just, you know what I'm saying, you come to the party and you preaching all this and then bam, hit me with the white wife. It's like, hold on.
Well, she better be but that falls back into the conversation earlier. Like, what's defined as black? So even if she's down for the causes and everything like that, does she really understand what the struggle is? Which is no. The answer is no. That's just a rhetorical question. Yeah. But yeah, I think if you phrase it that way, then I guess it does weaken your credibility. I think it does.
Yeah.
But do we call the same struggle for white people? Okay, say she lives in a trailer park. Because I mean, technically, some people don't look at the trailer park as the ghetto, but a lot of white people do.
I mean, but that's more of a social thing within them, though, because they look at trailer park white people as lesser than them. For those, even that's just middle class or even lower class, they look at them as just the bottom. Yeah. But even for them, they treat us. You find somebody from a trailer park that'll treat the three of us like we're trash.
That nigga with the ER is gonna fly real quick.
Like, it's crazy how that works, but yeah, I think it does weaken your credibility just a little bit. I think it does.
And you saying that, you know what I'm saying, makes people very mad. And like, listen, I know this is a very controversial topic. I have people in my family. Obviously, I'm light skinned. I got blonde hair in my arms. So obviously, there's white people in my family. Obviously, okay. And I have family members that have married white spouses. I want to be clear. You can marry who you choose.
Yeah, this isn't about that.
Okay, you have free will to do what you want. You fall in love with somebody. That's your business as an individual. Right. My concern is when you start to go out here talking about black power.
There we go.
Okay, and you're raising up black fists. Exactly. And you're starting to champion black causes, and then you show up with a white spouse. it does weaken your credibility. And I'm not the only one who says that, okay? Dr. John Henrik Clark thinks the same thing. Marcus Garvey thought the same thing. Malcolm X thought the same thing. And even Killer Mike, which his video on Breakfast Club was a very controversial thing. But when you look at it, it's hard for me to take you seriously if you're out here trying to say you love our people, because I believe that the greatest thing that a black man can do is marry a black woman. Now, listen, I'm not saying that there's not attraction, there's not all these other things, but at the end of the day, what is most important to you? If it's love and affection, then marry who you want. Okay? If it's your people and the advancement and the progression of your people, then it's very difficult to have that.
It's different. That's a different. And this is, again, to reiterate, because I know some of y'all are going to watch this video and have a bunch of shit to say that is irrelevant as to what we're speaking about.
Make sure you say it in the comments.
If you are, please do. Mention, subscribe, do all that nice shit, comment, and get in the conversation, please. But if you are pushing black Afrocentric causes, if you are in that struggle, this is who this conversation is directed at. If you just live your life like you said, you're an American, you enjoy being an African American, you maybe even voted for Obama because he was an African American guy and you wanted to push the cause. Oh, that's fine. Right. But this conversation it isn't for those people. This is for those people that push the same causes as those that are out fighting, that are out protesting, that are out speaking to the point of African American issues on a regular basis, that are pushing the issues for us. It makes a difference. It really, really does.
It does, because I think the other thing too is that people, because America looks at children like toys and sources of entertainment, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have some kids. Throughout human history, your children, your lineage, sowing your seed was a very, very important thing that you did, and the cultural identification was significant. Okay, and so for me as a black man, right, if I choose to, let's say, marry a white woman to death do us part, and I go forward with that, again, now I have to ask myself, how do I raise my children? Right. Okay. What things are taught in the home? What culture then becomes more dominant? And being that I grew up in affluence, there were a lot of mixed kids, man, and I saw how they were conflicted. Okay, some mixed kids identified more with the African side of themselves. Some identified more with the white side of themselves. Some hung out with all black kids. Some hung out with all white kids. It was very difficult for them to identify themselves in the culture. And their parents, who meant well, tried to give them the tools to help them, but at some point in time, when you look in the mirror, you're going to want to identify with something. When you have images, like when you go into my house, you're going to see African images and paintings and things of that nature, right? Because I'm proud of being a descendant of Africans, and so that's what I'm teaching my children too. Now I'm teaching them righteousness and integrity and character above all, but it is important for us to be black, and I would not be able to have that same level of passion with a white wife, because I would have to include her cultural identification. And those kids now are going to their grandparents' house who are white, most likely, obviously, right? And the generationally, they're from a generation where interracial relationships was very, very taboo. And how are those kids being treated? So I think that's significant, man.
It makes a difference. It makes a difference. And again, the things that you teach and instill in your children, you have to balance it out. There has to be a level of how do I say, not contrition, but there has to be a level of understanding from you dealing with that, because if your kids are mixed, my children are mixed. And so when I'm teaching them things about our history, when they're at my house, I mean, you got to understand, we are overly proud of being black. You see what I'm saying? Like, we watch programs all day that support that. If Beyonce drops an album about Black is King, we are watching that 3 or 4 times a day, just because that's kind of how we operate in my house. Like, you know what I mean? So when I'm having conversations with my kids, I have to teach them that side of them. Like, hey, we're not watching this because we're saying we're better than everybody else. We're celebrating the things that other people may look down upon us for. And so I have to let them know, hey, this doesn't tarnish anything else that you may learn anywhere else. I just want you to know that you can be proud of this other person, because there's going to come a time when people are not going to like you just because of the fact of what you look like.
Skin color.
So I just trying to prepare them for that. I must say that it's a different type of conversation. And so if you are out here pushing these issues, like we were saying, it does kind of weaken your credibility. I'm sorry. I mean, it sounds a certain way, but it is the truth. It is.
Yeah, and so I want to end with a quote from Marcus Garvey, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, within modern times, the African race has not had any real statesmen, and the masses of our people have always accepted the intentions and actions of the statesmen and leaders of other races as being directed in our own interests as a group in conjunction with the interests of others. Such a feeling on our part caused us to believe that the Constitution of the United States was not written for Africans, as well as the Constitution of England, Italy, Germany, and other countries where Africans happen to have their present domicile, either as citizens or as subjects. That we suffer so much today under whatsoever flag we live is proof positive that constitutions and laws, when framed by the early advocates of human liberty, never included and were never intended for us as a people. It is only a question of sheer accident that we happen to be fellow citizens today with the descendants of those who through their advocacy laid the foundation for human rights. So this brings us to the point where we as people, we cannot accept very little from the efforts of the present day statesmen of other races, in that their plans are laid only in the interest of their own people and not in the interest of the African.
Where'd you get that quote from?
Marcus Garvey.
I mean, where did it come from? Was it in a book you wrote or something?
Yeah, it was a talk in a lecture.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always wonder when I hear quotes like that be real in depth. Like, who was he talking to?
Most of the time, they're either
was it in the
speeches
book?
that they're doing.
Yeah.
So they take them more excerpts from like
Yeah.
interviews that they have done.
Yeah.
But no, that's interesting. Another thing to think about: what if you're a white nationalist, but you have a black spouse? I wonder, do they have the same conversation?
Exactly. That would be very strange, wouldn't it?
I wonder, do they have the same
Wow.
conversation? Like, can you have the same beliefs and
Of
things
course
like that?
not.
You see what I mean? Like, how do you go
yeah.
about that? Like, so,
Can't. Absolutely not.
yeah, definitely. But I definitely want everybody to go ahead and join the conversation with us. Share your thoughts and feelings. Tell us how you feel. Getting those comments.
in
Shout out to
the
everybody that's in the
comments.
comments as it is. And just let us know what you think. I mean, like you say, like we always try to tell you all, we're not here stating that we're giving you nothing but facts. This is an
Right.
open conversation to speak your opinions and let us know what you think. And we may be wrong.
Yep.
But a lot of times we're not. So we'll move on. We'll move on and get into that good old community impact report with my man Loudmouth.
You need to get up, get out, and get something. Cause you and I got to do for you and I.
All right, so last week we had a funny one, that was a little lighthearted. This one is a little hard. Okay, have y'all heard about the execution style murder of the 5-year-old little boy in North Carolina?
No, please tell me about
Sorry,
this.
enlighten me.
Okay, all right, man. So I'm gonna read this to y'all. All right, this happened in Wilson, North Carolina. All right, the shooting happened around 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, August 9th. When officers arrived, they found Cannon suffering from a gunshot wound. Officers and EMS immediately began performing life-saving efforts. The boy was taken to the hospital where he later died. Neighbor Charlene Walburn said another neighbor told her that a man walked up to little boy Cannon and shot him. Family members said Cannon Hinton was playing outside his father's house when he was shot in the head. The boy's two sisters, aged 8 and 7, saw their brother get shot, according to Cannon's mother. Darius N. Sessoms, 25, was apprehended in Goldsboro by members of the U.S. Marshal Service Carolinas Regional Fugitive Task Force. Goldsboro Police and the Wayne County Sheriff's Office said he was charged with first-degree murder and was being held without bond in the Wilson County Jail. So, 25-year-old black brother walks up to a little 5-year-old white kid playing in his yard with his sister and brother, pulls out his pistol and blows the little kid's head off. The neighbors said they heard the father. At first they thought it was, maybe something like a pop or a bang or something, until they heard the father's shrills, holding his lifeless son's body in his arms.
Man, I couldn't
and his
imagine.
brother and sister watched their sibling die and get shot in the head. That's going to ruin them and scar them for life.
Did they say if there was a motive for this, or was it just random?
Yeah, man, and this is the problem, and that my question is, do you think that Americans pick and choose what murders are more important than others?
Depends on define Americans.
Okay.
Oh, that's
we're
a
talking
deeper
about
question.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if a lot of times is it the narrative that the media pushes? Is there an agenda with it? Is this going to move the needle, or would it just be considered another black man shooting and being the stereotype? So,
And on top of that, how do we know how many of these stories the reporters are bringing to the table, and then are getting phased out by their editors? Like,
Exactly.
nah, we don't want that.
Exactly, and that's I think, so those that, again, the problem with this polarized nation is that unfortunately this young man's death is being hijacked by those on the conservative right that are saying, where's the outcry from the media? When a black man, George Floyd, and I'm seeing pictures of them, juxtaposing George Floyd and this little boy, like, where's the outrage? And here's the thing, there's truth to that. Like, where is the outrage, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do we pick and choose what the nation is going to be more upset about now? We as a people have suffered under the weight, and oppression of America as a nation as a whole. But in the modern day, why does there not seem to be the media attention? This is nuts, man. How do you walk up to a 5-year-old little boy, man?
Yeah.
I can't. I almost want to I almost want to cry when I think about the imagery of this father. Seeing this little boy's his head shot in the head with blood everywhere like that. There's no reason for this. I don't know what's wrong with this dude. If he had mental health issues,
but you know what is going. I think the main thing with America, and whether it's the media or either with instances like this, if it is a black man that did this to a white person, we know exactly what's going to happen to that man. He'll probably go to jail. He's going to go to prison for the rest of his life. He's also probably going to get the death sentence or something ridiculous. They're going to strum up the charges, draw up the the sentimental aspect of this. I think on the other end of it for us,
depending if it's legal in that state, right?
Right. So for us, when things happen to us, we don't know what's going to happen to the individual. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen to George Floyd's killer, because there's a chance they'll let him off. You know what I'm saying? So I think the outrage comes because we've seen it happen so many times without any justice being served. But in this instance, I hate for the little man to lose his life.
Man,
and
terrible.
I mean, there's so much context missing here. I would just love to know what was in this person's head, or what he was going through, or why did he choose this specific individual. Where there's so much missing here that I want to know, and it wouldn't change how I felt about it. But I think that's the main thing. Like, we know they caught this guy, they got a name. So once they got a name, he's dead out here. Like, it didn't matter what he did. So
and I don't want the family's hurt and pain to be hijacked by people who want to use this as a political stunt to try to prove a point that white people's lives are not important, because that's what they're trying to do. Like, they're actually even using the "say his name" hashtag.
Exactly.
Okay,
say it.
I'm cool
really
with
go
that.
ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Because justice should be equal. That's valid, right? Like, we should care. Like, we can do both. Like, this idea that we don't, like, we have to pick one or the other. Like, no, I can be mad about George Floyd having a knee in his neck, for 8 minutes, and I can also be mad about a 5-year-old little boy getting shot in the head for no damn reason. I can be mad about both. This to me,
neither had to happen.
Exactly. As fathers, like, this has nothing to do with black, white, Hispanic, Asian, or anything else.
Nothing.
right or wrong.
Absolutely, man. Okay, so my last question about this incident is, do you think have black people been hurt so badly that we are now biased and we don't have compassion for anyone but black people?
Yes. Because I feel like it's hard for us to address anybody else's issues until we feel like ours have been addressed. So it's like, you want us to feel compassion for you, but we don't get that same consideration. So I think that feeds into it a lot as well.
Isn't that sad, though, that we as a nation have got to that point to where, like, it's like wrong repaying wrong? Like, we've gotten so callous and cold-hearted.
Like, we've started to turn that same blind eye that's been turned to us for so long, because one, we don't feel like even if we stood out here and spoke on those things that it would be effective, nobody would listen. So it's like, y'all don't listen to us for our own issues.
Nah.
So how am I gonna get out here for this little guy and put my signs up and do all of that when you all won't even fix the issues that we have right here for us? Like, you don't. If we're voiceless, we're voiceless. So if we're going to be voiceless, let's use the little bit of a voice that we have, the little sound that we can make, to speak on the issues that really affect us the most. It sucks, but that's just where we've come to as a country.
I agree. And, somewhere, with the Most High, Tamir Rice and Little Cannon Hinton are together, rejoicing and feeling very, very much sorrowful for the state of this country and what we've descended into. if we don't fix the hard-heartedness, the callousness, the divisiveness, the lack of civility, this nation is in a downward spiral from an integrity and character standpoint, from a moral standpoint. And I'm telling you, when that happens, it's just more calamity to follow. So everyone needs to wake up, okay? The wanton violence, the wanton murder, the selfishness,
Ignorance.
it's got to stop, man. It really does, man. But that's the community impact report. I know it's a little more somber than last time, but
Tell us how you feel. Jump in the comments.
absolutely.
It's
Please.
all over.
Tell us what you feel about Little Cannon Hinton. Tell us what you feel about these issues. This is a discussion-based conversation show. We thank you for tuning in. Thanks for those that watched episode 7 premiere.
Hey,
We saw
shout
you
out to y'all.
engaging. Thank you
Appreciate
very
that.
much. Thank you for all those that have been following All Over on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
Again, for those that don't know, get familiar. It's All Over Radio, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
Yes.
on YouTube. It's All Over Media.
It's all over.
Okay, it's All Over Media on YouTube. That's where you can consume the content. We drop a new audio podcast every week at the beginning of the week. We drop little bits of nuggets for you in the video versions throughout the week, and then the full length comes out towards the middle end of the week. We encourage you to take these conversations into your workplace, into your environments. But remember, be
on it.
civil, be respectful, show love to your people around you. This is All Over Radio.
Hey,
Are y'all finished or y'all done?
We out.